Hello and welcome to another jam-packed video. My name is Emily Primer, or Prim Reaper, and I am the host of this channel dedicated towards helping skaters from all over the world learn about my favorite sport, roller derby. Today's video is all about beginner roller derby skills, aka these are all the skills that you'll need for basic roller derby before you begin contact. For some context, I'm going by the level assessments outlined by the Junior Roller Derby Association, or JRDA for short. These level assessments might not be used in your league, especially if you're in an adult league, but lots of junior teams still use these today, and it does provide some decent metrics to gauge where you are in terms of skating like a baby deer to knocking people down left and right. So according to JRDA, achieving level 1 means that you are ready to start blocking and you can block your opponent positionally. So that means getting in their way and slowing them down. So a lot of level 1 skills focus on footwork, balance, your agility, and falling and stopping. Achieving level 2 means you're ready to start amping things up a little bit. It means you can start doing some leaning contact, initiating some hits here and there, and also starting to knock people down. And finally, being level 3 means that you're ready to run with the big dogs because you've mastered being on skates and giving and receiving contact to and from other skaters. But for today's video, we're going to focus on level 1 skills, which are all the basic skills you'll need to start doing the derbs. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's a little overview of what we'll be going over. The level 1 assessment covers skating posture, stride, stops, falls and recovery, balance and agility, speed, and rules. We'll go through each section and I'll show you what each skill looks like, in addition to giving some tips, tricks, and exercises to help you learn them even faster. Alright, first up we have skating posture. Something you'll probably hear a million times when you first start skating is the good old phrase, derby stance. Being in derby stance consists of bending at your knees with your shoulders back and your chest up. You want to be able to skate confidently in this position to show that you can be stable with a low center of gravity. If you're not used to being in this sort of squatting position all the time, you'll definitely be feeling it after practice. I know my legs were super sore after my first few weeks of practice, just getting used to being in derby stance all the time. Doing lots of squats and squat holds outside of practice, in addition to building up your leg strength in general, will be super helpful in your roller derby journey. Side note here, think about playing roller derby and what kind of position you'd want to be in if people are shoving you around everywhere. If you get caught standing straight up and someone comes to hit you down, you're definitely going down. However, if you're nice and low and in derby stance, you'll be prepared for anything that comes your way. Next up, we have stride. This pertains to when you're skating around the track and how confident you are with skates on your feet. We all start somewhere, so don't worry if it takes you a little bit to develop your stride. Eventually, you'll want to be able to skate using both feet to propel you forwards, taking turns pushing off your wheels. I really want to emphasize that you're pushing off your wheels here, not your toe stops. The more practice and time you put in on your skates, the more natural your stride will feel. In addition to picking up both feet to skate, you'll also want to be able to sticky skate with all 8 wheels down on the floor at the same time. There are 2 main ways you can practice this skill. The first is commonly known as bubbles or skull crushers. This is where you move forward by pushing out on your skates with your toes pointed away from each other, and then pulling in on your skates with your toes pointed towards each other. If you alternate these motions, you'll get into a steady pattern of sticky skating that keeps you propelling forward. On the flip side, another form of sticky skating is called skiing. This is where you move your hips and skate side to side in a snake-like pattern that looks like you're skiing down a hill. Practice both of these maneuvers and you'll be able to self-propel yourself around the track in no time. The next skill you'll need to know as a newbie is how to stop on roller skates. You're probably used to using the wall at a skating rink or dragging your toe stop behind you, which is a big no-no. Part of playing roller derby means you need to be able to stop on a dime, and beginners need to learn 2 different kinds of stops, the T-stop and the plow stop. First up, let's talk about the T-stop, and this one can be really awkward when you're just starting out. It requires you to position yourself with one skate pointing straight ahead and the other skate held perpendicular to form the T position. The key here is that the skate that's perpendicular is the one helping you come to a stop. You should shift your weight to the front-facing foot and then apply smooth pressure to the skate that's perpendicular, dragging your wheels across the floor to create enough friction to slow you down. Note here that you are dragging the wheels of your skate to slow you down, but this dragging should always happen with your skate in an upright position, and the drag can either happen on your 2 outside wheels, 2 front wheels, or all 4 wheels. You should never drag your 2 inside wheels because you risk rolling your ankle that way. My preference is definitely to drag my 2 front wheels, but I recommend playing around with it and seeing which method works best for you. You'll need to be able to do the T-stop on both legs, so make sure you practice the dragging motion on both sides and never drag those 2 inside wheels. This stop requires excellent balance on one foot, so if you're struggling with T-stops, I'd recommend practicing your 1-foot glides or 1-foot balance, which we'll talk about soon. Next up, we have the plow stop, which is one of my favorite stops. In order to come to a stop using the plow stop method, you'll want to point your toes towards each other and your heels out, holding a constant pressure on the sides of your skates, enough sideways pressure to stop your forward momentum and keep your wheels from rolling straight ahead. This plow stop really requires you to sit back into it, apply that pressure off to the sides, and force your wheels to stop turning. Now, with the T-stop and the plow stop, you'll want to be able to come to a complete stop within 4 seconds without losing your balance or compromising your skating posture. Work up to this goal in small steps, and eventually you'll be able to come to a stop within the snap of your fingers. Alright, if stops aren't working out for you, don't worry. I have another guaranteed method for you to come to a quick stop. You may or may not love this, but it involves falling. That's right, in roller derby we do teach you how to fall because falling the right way is super important. The main takeaway here is that you always want to fall forwards if you can help it. This is where the hard parts of your pads are, which help keep you safe. Now, there are a couple different falls you want to become familiar with. The first is a single knee tap, which is pretty self-explanatory. To complete a single knee tap, simply tap one knee to the ground as you're skating forwards and try to stand back up and keep skating all within the same motion. Bonus points if you don't use your hands to get back up. Practice this tapping both your left knee and your right knee on the ground. Next up, we have the double knee fall. For this fall, both knees will be hitting the ground, but never at the same time. You'll want your knees to hit the ground one after another, and this is to protect your knees so you're not pounding both of them straight down into the ground at the same time. Then you'll need to stand back up within 3 seconds. Again, bonus points if you don't use your hands to get back up. And finally, we have the 4-point fall, which is a double knee fall, again, one knee after another, followed by your elbows hitting the ground with your fingers tucked. The most important thing about this fall is that you fall as small as possible. Think about falling on the ground during a game. You want to be tucked in as tight as you can so you aren't a tripping hazard to the other skaters around you. And of course, you'll want to tuck in those fingers so they don't get run over. Once again, the metric here is that you'll want to stand back up within 3 seconds. All of these falls are essential to the sport of roller derby and happen all the time during any given practice or game. I recommend practicing stationary up-downs to help build the necessary muscles in your legs and practice the motions of comfortably standing up and down in your skates. Being able to fall and get back up again is the epitome of roller derby. Alright, next up we have some balance and agility to work on. The first thing you'll need to master is standing in place, and while this may seem self-explanatory, don't forget to be in derby stance. Now, from a standstill, you'll also need to be able to move in all different directions. This includes moving forwards and backwards in addition to side to side. To move forward and backwards, my tip is to have your skates pointed sideways with your hips forward. That way you can move forwards and backwards with more control, and with your hips pointed forwards, you're still technically facing the right direction. Moving side to side will probably be a little bit easier as long as you think about it as a slow shuffle and you keep your center of gravity nice and low. Now for probably one of the trickier parts of the test, balance. In order to pass the level 1 test, you'll need to be able to balance on one skate for the length of an entire straightaway. To complete this successfully, get as much speed as you can going around the track and then gently lift off with one skate and glide through the straight portion of the track, putting your foot back down once you reach the curve again. You'll need to successfully perform this maneuver gliding on both skates, left and right, so make sure you practice both. Something that might impact how well you 1-foot glide is where you put the skate that's up in the air. Some people like to have it off to the side, resting it on their other skate, etc., so feel free to mess around with that and see what works best for you. Like I mentioned earlier, the more comfortable you become on one skate, the easier T-stops will become as well. 1-foot balance is a really crucial skill to have, so practice this one as much as you can. Now, last on the test in terms of skating ability, we have the speed portion. To pass level 1, you'll need to take a lap test. The golden number here is 8 laps in 2 minutes, so for 2 minutes you'll skate around the track and you'll want to skate at least 8 laps during this 2 minutes. And finally, you may need to take a rules test to pass a level 1 assessment. I always recommend reading up on the rules, and I also have a great video up on my channel already that goes over all the penalties in roller derby, so be sure to check that out. Otherwise, I'd get nice and cozy with the rule book and spend some time reading through all the many stipulations that come with our sport. The wiser you become when it comes to rules, the more valuable you are as a roller derby skater. Plus, while you develop your initial skating skills, you may as well become an expert on gameplay to give you a head start before you jump into your first scrimmage.
Hooray!
Alright y'all, we've reached the end of this video and I hope you learned something new about some of the basic skills you'll need to start your roller derby journey. Once again, if you master these skills, you'll have a great foundation before you start contact. I can assure you that you picked the craziest sport in the best way possible, and it's going to take some time and a little bit of work before you get to the sweetest part about it, hitting people on skates. And with that, my final tips of the video are to practice as much as you can, put your skates on whenever you get the chance, ask as many questions as you have, and always keep on getting stronger and keep on learning. I am more than happy to help along the way, so feel free to comment down below what videos you'd like to see next. Good luck to all you people out there in the Derbyverse, and I'll see y'all in the next jam-packed video.